Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 with my continuing look at the new economy. I'm still for Black Ice, Hearts of Iron 4. Still working on getting that alongside a historical. We're going to be doing some of these here. With the historically generated divisions. But before we get into all of that, if you're new, can you please, I hope, subscribe to the channel? And of course, everyone, I hope this is worth hitting that like button. You can even lick it. Supposedly tasty, but just lick it once per video because each video tastes different. So, all right. Now, we can look here. No. Here. We can see we could, and we probably will. Well, let's form creates template gets. So we're going to form the first mountain division here. And we'll get that. And so now we should have here. Okay, so well, virtually nothing is here. We'll let this go a little bit. I know we need to deal with that. We're just talking about equipment. So, change much. Okay, there we go. Because we did have enough resource, uniforms, machine guns, all that stuff. We had enough to fill this up, and so this is now a rather functional unit. Look at its template. I still haven't gotten. This is, hey everyone, I'm at my secret mountain base that I'm building up here. So I'm not going to talk about the location of it because, hey, it's secret. I'm just running off of my laptop, so I had to restart the game and play through it. And I didn't set the NATO counters, which I naturally read. But, like I say, I'm looking at the economy at filling up. We'll hit all of these. And there's a reason I'm doing all of this. Yes, we're forming. Sometimes they're pulling units off and forming. Sometimes they're just forming out of thin air. But you still need all of the equipment. Now, the reason you see here is a negative and then a positive is because we just recently, within just a few days, shot the demand up. So let's see. Let's go to the 10th. Okay. Let's look again here. Well, I don't think most of this, because we're not really attritioning units here, so we're still on that. But what I'm looking at here is looking for things like that. Very much things like that, because I know the motorization. So we're 2,000 trucks down from the need. Now, right now, April 39, that isn't a big issue. But if we were talking April 39, let's say 39 is 38, obviously. April 39 would be a much bigger issue. So we're going to currently have one extra factory. We're going to throw it in here, but I'm also going to do a heavy transport truck for the next military factory to come into production here. So, what are we, okay, we need a little more, we'll not worry about that just a moment. So, yeah, let's add another 2, yeah, down here in the southwest. Another 2 military factories as we get the construction ICs freed up to do those. And let's speed this up a little bit since we're no longer fighting in Spain. Okay. And no longer oil bonus. Foreign volunteers. Yay, 50 manpower. We are doing okayish for manpower, I would say. Almost done with some of the Okay, so pause. Let's come here. I think we have, well, we could do Onslaught, 42 days, which is very good, but we could also do this, and I think we should first. Let's just get this done. Lessons from the Spanish campaign. Hello, Christopher und Königsgas. I'm probably butchering that. Hello to you. Okay, let's see. We have now got some free. Just come here. Next I know what I want to know. Okay. View. These are going to be completed. Oh, okay. Well, this thing means are going to just keep spamming out. Those will be just two. Okay, that's good. We'll keep those going. I know we could flying boats, but we really need to get some of our other base production up and going. Good. Is there something? It's 30. Well, we could do. Well, I don't know. DO-17s, they're all right. We're not going to do carrier-based anything, so we'll let that just sort of slide. Yeah, we'll do some naval search. Portion bar suspensions. Okay, we're trying to get some of our required interworld. Where I don't know that we want to do diesel engines. Let's do food tank. Okay, our forces are back here, and the reason we don't have the brigade that was fighting in Spain has now become a division. Regimental doctrines. Experience gained while in combat or training is good. Let's. This is just a little too fast. Yeah, we'll use this to get fire brigades being researched. Joint industrial policies with Cuba. I don't know that that would be any much of a thing. Okay, so we just got that. We learned our lessons from Spain. Onslaught is very, very useful, obviously. Probably are going to be our next thing here, but let's just, yeah, I think so. But what I want to do is, and no, I really don't have spies to be spying out what they're doing well. We don't know unknown focus here. I'm looking to see, can we, no, okay, we really could be spying better. What I wondered is, if I knew that they were partway down some of this stuff here and letting it complete to get another Civ factory or something, I would have to do. But I don't have enough information to do that, so let's have union or Onslaught with Austria. That will help us out greatly. Danica A, very good. Okay, you're 38 here still. Yes, we're going to start the 3rd year, the 4-year plan. Okay, let's go with anti-tank rifles first here. Anti-tank rifles are a very interesting case study of military weapons, in which a weapon that was very functional when it's first being created, including in World War I, the T-Gewehr, the tank Gewehr, or whatever the T stands for, I presume tank, but I know the Germans call them Panzer, so I'm not sure. I would see that as a T-Gewehr, but I don't know. Maybe T stands for something else. Messaging, yes. Okay, deal with that later. Let's get this going here. Get the Emil version. And obviously, different tanks, including the 1920s and 30s, had different levels of armor, but you could generally make something that would punch holes in it. But that doesn't mean it knocks it out or even kills its crew. It could, depending on where you hit, depending on the angles, depending on a lot of factors. It was still an effective weapon. I am going to do a Civ factory here. We're going to have a lot of military factors coming in. Not enough, but a lot. Okay. I want to get my aircraft industry in a bit better production capabilities. Okay, so we've got. I was going to add some other things in, but okay, we need more aluminum because of that. So let's come over here. Let's see about aluminum production. We could have up to 18, so let's add another factory. That should probably do it. So they're not a wonder weapon. They're not anti-tank rifles, but they are an effective weapon. Well, as the war goes on, obviously tank armors are getting heavier and heavier. That doesn't mean anti-tank rifles aren't useful. They're just a lot less useful. And well, I'm trying to think here now. I think there's only 3 nations. Well, because I can throw in something from Germany, sort of, kind of late war, but really only 3 nations. I'm trying to think, because I'm going through all these different. Most nations try to have a bolt action or semi-automatic anti-tank rifle. Those are new around here. I know a lot about small arms. So I think it was 13 millimeter. I know the T-Gewehr stood for tank, where it was before the Germans decided tanks would be called Panzers. Okay, thank you, IKB. Thank you. Did the U.S. ever use anti-tank rifles? No, and that's what I'm sort of getting to. Is most nations, well, in the modern sense, they do, because I'm sort of going to get there. In most nations, used anti-tank rifles. They had them. Either they produced them or they bought them in some quantities. The Americans, because of one John Moses Browning, has an anti-tank machine gun instead of an anti-tank rifle. Because that's what the American 50 caliber was designed to do. Um, Part of what it was designed to do was to shoot down things like Zeppelins. He looks at the I think it was a French weapon, a machine gun that had a large caliber. And one of the reasons they wanted that large caliber was to be able to put a lot of incendiary material, things, burning in the back. Could be something like is it a zinc or something, get hot enough and it's burning. And keep it burning long enough so when it gets fired from like an aircraft, goes up and hits a Zeppelin and, lights it on fire. So he designed his machine gun with a big bore diameter, where the German anti-tank, not the T-Gewehr, but the ones that come in the 20s and the 30s and are used in World War II, they use a 7.92 millimeter bullet. Now it's longer. The bullet, the projectile itself is, and I don't know the dimensions exactly, but are significantly longer than the standard bolt-action rifle. But it has just a huge powder charge behind it. So they're going down. They're using generally a very hard core of ammunition. It can vary from nation to nation with all of these for when they're in the anti-tank role or armor-piercing role. And so they're firing, so they're going down and they're going really high velocity. The Americans continue with a big diameter. The British and the Soviets continue with a big diameter anti-tank rifles and machine guns. The British have a Vickers water-cooled, we'll call it an anti-tank machine gun, and that they used them, I think the Mark IV is the little light machine gun carrying tanks, and that they had one standard 303 Vickers and a 50 cal Vickers. Vickers even produce, and the standard one is sort of less powerful than a Browning 50 cal, but they also make a sort of a hyper calibered 50 cal that's a bit more powerful than the Americans, but was not widely used. The Soviets, of course, have the Deshka machine gun, in 12.7 millimeters, and a 14.5 millimeter bolt-action rifle as large calibers. So by mid-late World War II, anti-tank rifles are deemed obsolete by a lot of people, governments, nations, whatever. But that was a mistake. That was a mistake in doctrine and idea, because that anti-tank rifle will still penetrate just as much as it did in 1939. It would still penetrate just as much in 1945. Now, in 1945, Tigers probably not going to be overly affected by them. Yeah, you might get a lucky shot and somehow, I don't know, damage the barrel or something, but probably not. It's probably, for a practical thing, it's probably, invulnerable with a Tiger, and they were worried about the lower side hole of a Panther being penetrated by the Soviet anti-tank rifles. Soviets continue using theirs, and the Germans even continue using theirs through to the end of the war, but stop making them because they come up with, the better solution, the bazooka or Panzerschreck or the Panzerfaust and whatnot, sort of hollow charge, the Piat and other types of rounds. And the Japanese, the explosive on the stick. Now it kills the user as well as the tank, but hey, that's the Japanese for you. So yeah, they got other better, but still there's still uses for an anti-tank rifle, because German half-tracks were still just as vulnerable. They were probably a little less vulnerable than American half-tracks, but they were still vulnerable to anti-tank rifles. Now, the Americans didn't have anti-tank rifles, but they did have a god-awful amount of half-tracks. So you just mount an anti-tank machine gun on their half-track and drive it around and shoot up light armored vehicles. But also, what anti-tank rifles are good for is people behind 2 or 3 feet of sandbags that will stop a standard armor-piercing round of a standard, coming out of a machine gun maybe, but won't stop an anti-tank rifle round. And there's, like I said, they're still effective, but post World War II, they're stopped all production. Well, back in the 1980s, Americans being Americans and into guns and bigger booms, start playing around with 50 caliber because that's legally our here largest diameter thing we can have, or, projectile that we can have out of a modern cartridge ammunition without calling it a destructive device. You get the over 50 caliber and it's modern ammo, it has to be registered as a destructive device. Now you can, because I got a 60 caliber muzzle loading flintlock. I also now have a 58 caliber muzzle loading flintlock. Those aren't even considered firearms. They're just things. They're not considered firearms. Could be considered a deadly weapon if you're using it as a weapon, but if you're just like, hey, putting it on your wall or doing a reenactment at a, and they'll even let you discharge it in the city if it's not shooting a projectile. At least I've never had trouble discharging my muskets in cities. Now it's sort of at fairgrounds during events, but still, no one ever. Oh, no, and there were police there. Trust me, there were police or sheriffs or something there. None of them ever came over and talked to me about going boom with my musket, so long as we were sort of kind of doing it more or less in a safe manner. Because again, they're not really considered firearms, so the laws about discharging firearms in the city don't really technically cover them so much. But they could be, again, if I was threatening somebody with one, threatening somebody with a baseball bat, that's threatening somebody or using a deadly weapon on somebody. So they're not, you don't get to just go use them as a weapon on a person without a permission or a reason, I should say, like defending yourself. But the way the Americans are, so they started fooling around with the 50 cal ammunition and started to build. And I remember, I forget the guy's name, hung out with him a bunch, but I forget. It was one of the guys that was developing some of the early 50 cal rifles back in the 80s. And eventually the American Special Forces and then some of the more regular American military units start realizing these things are damned useful. Yeah, they're not going to stop at T-72, but they're damned useful because they can shoot a long ways very effectively. Now, technically, because certain, whether it's Geneva Conventions or the Hague or whatever, they're technically classed as an anti-materiel weapon. And I don't know where that sort of has to come in, whether that's something dating to the 20s and 30s and World War II, or if that's something more modern. And now you can sort of kind of like shoot the guy in front of the artillery piece that you're supposedly taking out with an anti-materiel weapon, but nobody really is making too many formal complaints about uses. But they are big, heavy things that your standard soldier doesn't want to carry. But I would argue at a company and definitely at a battalion level to have a few anti-tank rifles, even in this modern age of drones, and I am thinking about that modern age of drones because, like sort of what thinking about Spain is to World War II, Ukraine is to future wars, whatever they may be, whether it's World War III or other things, and that we're seeing, and I'm definitely seeing the use of drones much, much more and more effectively than we saw in places like Iraq. When do you start building planes? Yeah, well, I've always been building some planes, but we're really starting to push up the ramping here up. But let me just complete this thought, and then we'll get more back into the stuff. What a drone, we're going to see drone and anti-drone warfare going on. But what an anti-tank rifle can do for you is put out, without necessarily like a big black backblast or big, there is still, depending on the environment, there still is a muzzle blast, but not as big as a lot of the anti-tank missile type whether guided or unguided, RPG or whatever. But you can penetrate things like walls, bunkers, because you build a bunker for a 308, protect you from a 308 round, designed. You start putting a 50 cal round, even, and not everywhere. I mean, Americans are great with armored vehicles, but not everywhere they're going to have a Bushmaster autocannon or a 50 cal machine gun on an armored vehicle ready to get into position. Because sometimes you may be, whether it could be mountains in Turkey, mountains in Romania, or mountains in Afghanistan, wanting to get the weapon to a place that you're not driving a motor vehicle, or at least a standard. You might have a four-wheel ATV kind of thing hauling that rifle up the side of a mountain, getting it near to position, and then crawling, dragging it in, under cover, getting to shoot. And so that can be a very effective weapon that, yeah, is probably not appropriate down at the platoon level, may or may not be appropriate at the company level, where that's definitely where they were thinking of using them in World War II. We're definitely getting down to platoon level bazooka type things or Panzerfausts in Germany in World War II, and we're definitely seeing RPGs down at the platoon level, and law rockets and whatnot are down at the platoon level. But the anti-tank rifle being able to precisely put, and now often in the modern sense with a scope on it, precisely put a rather heavy round on targets is something that they really overlooked and really missed. And it has the range and penetration. So it is no longer properly, obviously, an anti-tank weapon, because an Abrams or even a T-55, it ain't stopping them. It might annoy them a bit if somebody has their head out of the hatch. Well, that's any sort of rifle can take that person out. But it's a weapon that was deemed obsolete, but is not. Sort of like the bayonet. It's not obsolete. So yes. So this is uh, Poppy. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that name. But this is one thing I'm looking at with this playthrough is, and I started with another one, is the economy of the new economy here. And well, how do I put this? Civ factories are often used to build, military factories and pay for things like import export, pay for importing rubber or whatever. But now we're seeing the need to build steel mills, aluminum mills, rubber and oil refineries as a different things, industrial farms, power plants. You can't build hydro plants, which I think there should be some decisions for those, but you shouldn't be able to spam them out. I would entirely agree with that. But and so adding a bunch more other things needing to build along with building things like railways and other stuff. Are we getting enough military factories to, and this is right now, again, we're not training any divisions because I've yet to see large, and especially if you start hitting the Soviet Union, my last playthrough at the end of that, which I may still continue a bit when I get back home. We had a lot of naked troops because we couldn't produce enough field uniforms. Some basic things like that. And so, do we have enough military factors? And yeah, I'm looking at it through the German lens. But to build everything we need, as in what they were capable of doing in World War II, and for the basic stuff, and also to build a decent air force, because they were building in 1938. They were building more than these three types of aircraft, and I don't know how many, in game terms, how many aircraft factories they had effectively running, but those are the only three aircraft production lines we have here now. So I don't know if we're getting enough to build, because we need to build a lot of radios to equip our divisions. We're not even building any Panzer IIs or IIIs, and IVs or IVs. Yeah, because they were building, no, threes and fours. Sorry, threes and fours. Private imports, good. Threes and fours, which they were building in small numbers at this point. This, I'm just letting this go because I think these are junk vehicles. That we're just going to get as many as we can out of them before we try to upgrade them. Oil plants. So I don't know when we should, and if, how big of an army should you have, and how much if your army doesn't have enough simple things like horse transports and artillery. Yeah, and we are building some aircraft, but how much aircraft should you be building if you look at that kind of a factor? Okay, so 38 power plants. Again, now they have increased, it appears to me, the number of researchable research lines. I'll call these, boy, I'm blanking on that. Okay, so we could get this. We have enough factory output, supply output, and controlled states and core states. Yeah, let's go for that. And ability is 10%. Monthly population. I like that stability thing, but we're doing good with stability. Okay, mixed farms. Industrial farm construction speed is slower. Monthly industrial resource output by +1. Construction speed is 5% faster under this. But where we go down to 39 here, okay, +1. Livestock focus, stability, civilian rations more. Okay, so industrial farm production speed. So if we're going to do a lot of industrial farm, that right. Industrial farm construction speed negative, so that's slower. But it's also going to give us one more food effect capacity. I think this is the way to go. But again, here, I'm not sure. Okay, Anschluss with Austria, which is a major factor here now. This may be the time really to start pushing in on aircraft, because we now have Austria as a aircraft production capabilities. Okay, we're going to jump to the F model. We'll see if medium, yeah. We'll lose 10 days of production. Yeah, I don't care about that. Okay, but we're taking a big hit because we did jump past a few. Let's add one more. But I also like other types of aircraft as well. So let's get in some CAS. Let's go for 3. Again, we'll move this up to the top so we keep finding it easy. We're going to need some more aluminum. No. Okay, so we got some CAS coming. We got some heavy fighters to shoot down bombers. We got standard fighters there. We got naval bombers. Got medium bombers. I'm not going to try to do a heavy bomber. Fast bombers, yeah, it would be the DO a bit later, but we haven't researched those. Transports, reconnaissance planes. Okay, let's get a flying boat into production. Let's get a reconnaissance aircraft into production lines. Do we have naval bombers currently? So, we may have just did it, forgot. No, we didn't. Let's also, well, I am researching a new naval. Okay. Yeah, I know I'm researching other things too, but yeah, we'll wait to get that Heinkel a few days. So let's produce other things, and we'll get Heinkel. We'll get the new Heinkel in. So, multi-role. Okay, just one of those. So let's again move these to the top, so I don't have to keep rolling and looking for some aircraft in some space and some aircraft in another space of this line. Okay, so now what we'll do though is make sure some more important things like our fighters to win the air war over Germany is at the top. Because, and there we go. That's a decent productive order of everything. Let's put in another fighter. Now that means we're now down 32 aluminium. So, here. Okay, we do have the ability for much more aluminium. So we don't have enough bauxite. Let's come here. Well, let's get some bauxite from Yugoslavia. It'll sort of build them up, but maybe that will when we reconquer it, we'll get, or when we conquer it, we'll get some back. Claim on South Tyrol. No, we're going to ignore South Tyrol. We want to go pro-Italy here. June 38. I do think it's time to come back over here and do more economically based power plant. How many days? 22 days. Not that long, but yeah, because we do want to be able to move down into here as well as improve motorization. Engine factories, Vomag. Yeah, we'll do this. Well, 32 days. Okay. And what research are we having an output slot for? I do like their system. Oh, this is Lower Austria, which gets a lot of things. Let's come over here. Yeah, let's get this going. Yeah, we don't care. Okay. We'll do German pressure, I guess. No, let's just for the moment. Let's. Okay, so this template is that. This Austrian template. Angetreten. Yes. Okay. Quickly see here. The German template here is much better, has more artillery. Though it does have motorized medium artillery. Okay, well, pack artillery? Yeah. Well, for the moment, I'm not going to improve the Austrian units because we did inherit, I do believe, all of Austria's equipment. But we definitely are low. Producing mountain equipment, that's a little easier to catch up at. 2.9 for just under 800 versus 2.3 at over 2,000. So transportation trucks, if we motorize more things, will require more trucks. And so I don't want that just yet. Now let's look over here at decisions. Is there anything I want to do now? Invest, chemical construction research. Yeah, we could do this, I guess. So we can gain a research slot in Thuringen, and able to research the following folders: industry, or resource manufacturing, and that would be following folders: raw materials, and that would be also in Thuringen. And so we can take a quick look here. The top, we have the universal one. Okay, so this is resource manufacturing versus industrial. Well, I mean, we've got here, all kinds of things to research as time comes on. Now over here in resource, we've also got lots and lots of stuff to research. We'll do resource manufacturing here. Yeah. Well, no, raw materials. This is the research slot would be able to research the following folders: raw materials. I think that's this here. Resource manufacturing. I'm presuming it is such. So we'll do this, right? Yeah. And we come down to the bottom. Yes, this is the one I thought it would be. Okay, so there's a lot here we could do. That I think, and continuing down. I mean, it's not just energy costs a little less to produce. Ration production 5%. Well, yeah, let's just do 130 days and get that done. What in, okay, steel by 2. I'm not going to worry about steel by 2. That is slowing down submarine production or something. So, oh, well. Okay, improved tank armor. Nice. Right, good. Now, how long until we get, okay, 30 days. Well, let's go back to the very unglamorous transportation cart. Get enough of those built. Well, get more of them built at least. No, I want to look here. What is... Okay, anti-tank upgrades. Okay, that's the Czech weapon. I think we need to get Czechoslovakia to do that one. Okay, 155 mil or 105 millimeters. Sorry, needs to do that. All right. Well, nothing we can do here to do those, but we can. You don't need the diesel engine. Well, I guess we should come over here and get. Well, we can get the C. Okay. Oh, come on. Okay, so let's see. Treaty, whatever. Okay. Now, what I'm really seeing is we've got a lot of Air Force and Army experience. So, yeah, that is. What should we spend this on? Independent Air Force, dive bombing, DNK surveys. We can't do those. We can only do these. Battlefield interdiction, air power projection. Yeah, okay. Centralized control, fighter detection, air interception detection, air superiority, mission efficiency. Okay, so we're going to do that. And over here, hey, Sebastian, how you doing? Let's do dive bombing. Okay, now come back up to the Army, Professional Officer Corps, Cavalry. Ideological loyalty. Huh. Can't do that because it's communist. Okay. Tech. Okay, we can do some of these. Engineering companies. Clear training techniques. We're going to get some of these. Utilization drive. We don't have mobile training techniques. Okay. Well, I don't. Okay, well, yes, we're just not going to get to do those. Don't understand why. That's not bad. Rule of offense. Yeah, I like that. Let's do that. Oh, well, now we can do some of these others. Okay, I guess I just wanted me to do that one first. Because I understand, like, this needs elite focus, and this needs to be communist, so you're getting some of that. Why we can or can't. Yeah, let's do that. And over here, reserve officers, static. Let's do reserve officers division recovery. There we go. Spend a bunch of our experience there, if you will. Now, for naval, what can we see about doing with naval to starting off? Anything here? Not really. Okay. We need the 75. And we're just not there yet. So we have a lot of war support. We have decent manpower. I don't know why I know why we're at over 100% because we have more than 100% of the various things down on that list. But it still shows that we're slowly losing it. So, okay, improved motorization, very good. Think here. Expand Austrian oil, 56 days. IG Farben aesthetic refinery for 21 days. Yeah, let's do this. And 81. Let's do another power plant. Let's put it down in Austria. So they like. No, they really don't. But at least not modern Austrians. Okay. And I think we're still sort of waiting for more air to or the fighters. Hey, Beam Slam. How do you know we're Earthlings? Okay, the back question. We'll take the political power here. I got that. Hello. I don't know if that's Croc. Sorry, I can't read Cyrillic very well, so don't know how to pronounce it. Good question indeed. Yeah, you may be lizard people, lizard aliens, or something. Who knows? Okay. Now that we have that, let's come here. Let's do the naval bomber. I'll put a second one there. I like naval bombers, but let's make it down just a bit. You guessed, because you've taken over the bottom. No, I don't care. I don't want to issue ultimatums to random countries. Okay, IG. And the German anti-tank rifle. Okay. Now here. Okay. Again, pause. We need to see about getting some of these gun designs into. Open up some other gun tank designs. Okay, we're keeping up so far reasonably well with power versus factory output, so that's good. Uh-oh, 1938 New England hurricane. Okay, good. Okay, we just got this. Infantry radios, corps radios, radio equipment. Okay, let's pause this. We'll sell that. We'll do the cropping thing in a moment. Well, I guess what we can. Yeah, just tanking. We'll get that stuff done. And the crop one, which is, I think, one of these up here, yes. So we just got that back in 37 technology. Yeah, I've got a question. Okay, for you, what is your opinion about a game called Rules of the Waves 3? All right, I've played teeny little bit of Rules of the Waves 3. Full disclosure here, I am a paid shill for Slithering and Matrix games. So keep that in mind. I am an admitted paid shill. They pay me to stream on their channels, particularly Twitch, but sometimes other channels as well. Yeah, I guess we'll do that. Do we not have anti-tank guns? I know I was mostly just trying to. I don't need 2 production lines if we don't have. Okay, yes. And that is one of their games. I think it's under the Matrix label. They're not paying me now, but they do pay me. I played just a little bit of it. I've watched some of my fellow streamers on Slithering TV play more of it than I have. I think it's a rather good game for what it's trying to be. Trying to be a free air power, basically. I don't know that there's any aircraft in the game, at least none that I've seen right offhand. Free air power, naval focused, fictional, big thing there. This is the stuff that I've seen. War game, meaning they're not trying to simulate World War I or some other real battles. There is a sort of politics and war thing elements to the game, but it is mostly just to give you an excuse to take your fleet out and go beat on somebody else's fleets. And it's not low quality graphics in the sense that they're bad, but it's not a high graphics, interface game. So I think it's good for what it's trying to be. If you want a sort of a dreadnought and pre-dreadnought type simulator to battles and where you do a lot of design and maintenance elements, and almost an afterthought is the battles, as opposed to a war game about ship combat that has a bit of production on the back end. It's more production and design with a bit of combat is how I would explain it, or a bunch of combat depending on what nations you're playing and how big your navies are and things, I'm sure. So yeah, I think it's good for what it's trying to be. So I don't think I have any videos on it because I just played it a little bit, but look around YouTube for videos. I think like maybe DOS Tactic or I don't know, maybe Hexaboo or somebody. I'm not sure exactly who were doing some of the videos. So you probably find some good videos on the game. And hey, if it's your cup of tea, I would recommend it. If it's just not, either because it's too text based and too detailed oriented, then skip it. But I think it plays well. Okay, so we need more aluminum and more steel. Okay, so let's see if we can put in another factory there. Okay, that's good. And for the aluminum, now we also need more bauxite to cover some of that. Well, now let's just go back to that, because maybe we get some more. No, they don't have. These guys have enough to go to more. Okay, that almost did it. Let's up to that. Let's get to an actual positive and a rubber. Okay. Okay, so we got Panzer IIs. But I think at this point we're going to end this episode here. Love hanging out with you. I'm enjoying playing this. Thank you so much. Be back with more, yes, more Hearts of Iron next time. Thanks so much, everyone. And